pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please take the roll.
Alderman Bassador.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Patak. Reynolds.
Present.
Lavery.
Present.
Jepson.
Present.
Herndon. And Crane.
There.
Thank you.
I move that
We're going to have Alderman. Oh, go ahead.
Alderman Crane be allowed to, Herndon be allowed to attend remotely.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Dr. Lavery, some Alderman Jepson to allow Alderman Thorold Boo Herndon to join the meeting. Take the roll, please.
Alderman Bassador.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Lavery.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Crane.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good news is Alderman Herndon is home, resting, but not able yet to come in person, but we're getting there.
Alderman Herndon, can you hear me? Yes, I can. All right, you're in the city council meeting right now. We're gonna take another roll.
Okay.
Ms. Sammy, take the roll, please.
Yes. Alderman Bassador.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Reynolds.
Present.
Lavery.
Present.
Jepson.
Present.
Herndon. And Crane.
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like to open up our meeting with public comment period. Again, please make sure you state your name for the record and come to the podium, please. We want everybody to have that opportunity to have their full 5 minutes uninterrupted. That's our plan. Who'd like to start tonight? Ms. Dawn? Alderman Herndon, any way you could remove your dog from the room?
No further away.
Just wants to participate, we realize, but
Rapid fire yes votes.
I know it's not very easy for you to get around either, right? Sorry. Unless you want to just put yourself on mute until it's time to do a roll call.
He's in the closet.
You gave the whole audience here a nice little smile and laugh, Alderman. Thank you. If I put the volume down, it's not going to affect him. No, you're fine. Okay. Sorry, Don.
No problem. Dawn Hicks. So since apparently I'm not allowed to ask questions about our water, I'm not allowed to ask questions about our air monitors, I have now been having conversations with my husband about conversations that he's had with John Duncan, telling him why do I keep coming to these meetings and how I am apparently a bored housewife who just likes drama, right, Johnny? So I want to make it very clear right now. I'm here because I give a crap about this town. I've raised all 4 of my children in this town, and I genuinely do want the best for this town. So I don't appreciate that. But I am going to ask, it's been over a year since the Karis fire. We have not asked, we have been patient, and yet we still have got nothing. So what is the plan if Karis blows up again? Does anybody have an answer? So we're still not safe. That's really disheartening. I know there was meetings. I know there was a comment a while back about Karis will let us know whenever that will be. I didn't know that Karis ran this town. I guess I'm naive, but it would be really nice to have some idea to keep our families safe, our pets safe. And it seems like nobody is really wanting to step up and say anything. And that's really sad. And Ms. Quinn, I would ask if you're the one who does the notes, the minutes or whatever, to maybe put in there that when Mayor Grove is calling on someone after raising their hand and following all the rules, that we're not interrupting the meetings. You put in there that I interrupted the meeting when he called on me. So I would ask to be a little more diligent about the accuracy of your reports, please.
Jamie Hicks, Fourth Ward. I kind of like to pick up where she left off. I wasn't gonna, but she brought it up, and it's in my little notes here. We're still at the point where Karis is free to do whatever they wish, as long as their contaminants don't get down on the city street, or the toxic shit that's in the air doesn't land on city property. We're good to go. She's correct. We still don't have a plan, and we're still standing where we were over a year ago with Karis Chemical. Why and how much money does this city actually make from Karis Chemical that we have to go to these attempts? The attempts of shutting me up with all the drama here with Mike Smajinsky. All your doings, Mayor Grove, because they're all hired and fired by you. And it's plain to see your retaliation and the extremist measures that you will go to try to shut me the hell up. When all we've ever wanted was transparency. I recall a time in here, a long time ago, I asked you, Mayor, I asked all my councilmen, how do we move forward from this? We never did get an answer. And you wonder why we're still coming here. I want to bring up public meetings. Public hearing on a park grant. I would like to know when the council knew about this hearing and when it was posted and where it was posted. If you don't want to tell me tonight, I'll go ahead and put a FOIA in for that when I get home. Last week we talked about a 2024 road project and matters. I don't know what the meaning of a public meeting is, but it is the time when you guys are supposed to discuss things that are you're talking about. How do you come up with a road project when you've never mentioned a thing about it in a meeting? So where are these private meetings where you're negotiating who gets a road and who doesn't get a road? The whole point of these city meetings are to be transparent in what the hell is going on. So we know that nobody's in here not doing their job correct. I don't find it's fair that the mayor is in charge of a police chief, a fire chief, the finance guy, and that guy over there, Duncan, and whoever else sits up here on this front row. And I'd also like to bring up the minutes. This last time I read at least 15 times, and if I could exaggerate like Ambassador would, it'd be 50. 50 times that you said, I interrupted, I interrupted, I interrupted. I'm sorry, but them interruptions, they were all one interruption, and I love your police report there, Chief Smajinsky. You almost told the truth in that thing. Oh my God, do you know there's a crime against you lying in a police report? And you think just because you're the chief, people are going to believe that bullshit? Because the people in this town know what kind of chief you are. When does this man due to get out of seat? And who do we have replacing him? We all know he's retiring. Who's replacing this man? Another asshole? Ordinance are supposed to be enforced equally and fairly. Are they enforced in this room equally and fairly? No, they are not. Mr. Duncan, you stated in a comment that you shut time off when people are talking. You do that now, but I can show you a ton of my video that shows that you don't do that to me. And that is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. You, sir, denying me ordinances and saying I have to wait because of the FOIA request. I did not put in a FOIA request. Violation of the Open Meetings Act. Do you guys need retrained? Do you guys realize you're all supposed to be trained? Am I training you guys? Because that's what I feel like I'm doing up here. You guys keep violating my rights. Keep doing it. It's going to catch up with every one of you. And you can stare at me all you want there, Johnny. I don't care. Mr. Golden Spoon, my time is up, sir.
Anybody else like to address the council?
Shauna Wilcox, I live in LaSalle. I came to my first city council meeting earlier this month with the intention of asking questions and perhaps airing grievances over some water billing issues and the third-party payment services network. Imagine my surprise watching concerned citizens fighting for drinkable water and police accountability while being ignored entirely. Questions unanswered and blank stares from the folks that are supposed to be charged with leadership. So I didn't speak. I did some homework, decided to gather myself and the facts so I can be sure to get the best result. Maybe there's some process they're overlooking or a bureaucratic system in place. But no, it just seems to be bad leadership, verging on fascism. I wouldn't be so sure you have happy citizens just because they don't present themselves here in front of you at a Monday meeting where you ignore everyone. You don't want people to know what's in their water, that it's unsafe, so you hide it, and the result is much worse, more illness and disability, which leads to more poverty. We're not even asking for much, just that our tax dollars pay for safe water for our kids to drink. We get letters in the mail that tell us that our water has trihalomethanes in it, but don't worry, it's probably okay because it's not a concentration that you should worry about. But we won't tell you what the concentration is. I had to dig pretty deep to find the meeting minutes to get caught up on what the drama is here, but it seems the same issues every single week. And the same issues that I repeatedly question and get no answers for. We have to get a science degree to figure out if our water is safe and lab testing to DIY since everyone already knows it's poison and the water companies won't help us. There's permanent damage in this. My son has autism, I have autism. Everyone I know has some kind of neurological disorder or a hormone disruption, and our hospital is closing, our grocery stores are closing, buildings sit abandoned. Our police budget is $4 million, and most of that is paid out in lawsuits. I guess my questions for the council is, who do you work for and how do I get you to work for me?
No.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Sorry.
Just say your name at the podium, please.
Hi, my name is Julie Malmaser, and I'm here with the LaSalle boys baseball program. So recently, the men's league has moved over to the Diamond by where I coach and my son plays, and I know a couple people sitting up here's boys play as well. And the biggest concern that we have is when the men's league plays, they're actually hitting balls onto the field where our boys are playing. So hypothetically, one of our kids, right, my kid plays on the team too, could be hit by a ball. And this happens, they're playing 2 nights a week. There's also a women's league there. They used to play at M&H. They have recently moved over to the Diamond right next to Bernardi. And we're really asking for you guys to make sure that these leagues are not playing on those nights when our kids are there. Like, it's really dangerous, and it's not just the kids on the field. Excuse me, if you've ever been over at the park, I mean, kids just, because I teach at the middle school too, and you know, they're always waving at me saying hi because they're just walking right by. They don't care if there's a game going on, right? And so somebody's going to get hurt, and it could end up being seriously hurt. So we are just really asking if you guys could really, really, really make sure that these leagues are moved off of those diamonds for us. I know that there was an instance where the other team actually left the game because they were like, we're not doing this anymore. We had an umpire come and speak at our board meeting and say that he will no longer be umpiring on nights where the leagues are playing just because it's a danger to the kids. And then for the parents, it's the same. They can't sit over by their kids' dugouts. They can't cheer on their kids because they're having to sit halfway across the diamond by our side. And it's, you know, anybody who's over there going to the concession stands, anything like that. So it really is a danger to our kids. So just ask that you could get them moved off would be amazing. Thank you.
Josh Bushy, president with baseball. So to expound on that, so we are now, I am dealing with umpires that are saying we will not umpire on the days where this is going on. And I'm now hearing that there are other towns who have coaches who are discussing this. there's M&H Field. Senior League and Junior League are now going to be playing out at Rotary, which leaves M&H completely available to anybody. And so the men's league could go out there. They can play as long as they want, as late as they want. They can play every day of the week if they care about it. But instead, we've got this home run derby that's going on. And I know I've heard that, oh, the umpires are checking the bats. The umpires make sure the balls are legal, all that type of stuff. That's crap. The umpires they're using are not sanctioned umpires. They're using whoever they can get that wants to take the paycheck for it. So they're sending these guys out. They're doing these home run derbies. I heard even last year at one point when they were supposed to pull up the bases, which is first, second, and third, they tore out home plate. And our city rec department had to go and replace that thing. So we've got damage to our field. This is a team or a group that has already been booted from LaSalle before. They went to Ottawa. They got booted from Ottawa. They went to Oglesby. They got booted from Oglesby. And they're back here. They played on M&H for a while, and now they're back playing for us. And so we've got kids that are at risk. Last fall, we had several times the ball was hit. I watched one ball actually almost hit center field on the fly, which, Angel, you were there for it. He was coaching with me. On the fly from their field to our field and hit our center field fence. And so we're putting kids out there who are paying attention in one direction and not the direction that the balls are coming from. Somebody gets hit by that, there's some serious damage that can be done. Now, I looked up exit velocity off of bats just to get a general idea of how far they, or how hard they have to hit these balls. In order to go approximately 300 feet, which is that fence line, that the ball takes about a 90-mile-an-hour hit off the end of the bat. There's now a net there, so they have to hit it over that net to get there. So now you're talking 350 feet, okay? On that, we're at 95 miles an hour. For a ball to hit where it hit on that fence, that's 100 miles an hour. It's about, for every roughly, I think it's 1 mile an hour for every 5 feet that this ball has to travel. And we're putting kids on the receiving end of that, potentially. We had a shortstop that almost got hit during one of our practices. And so we're just asking, hey, these guys can play. If you guys want them playing in town, that's fine. Move them to M&H where there are no other ball fields. There's no fans that have to worry about getting hit, no kids that have to worry about getting hit. And if they want to put the nets up there, extend that right field fence, because I know that that's what they're worried about. The ball they're using is about a $12-ish ball at this point. They don't want to have to keep replacing them. And that right field is $227. That's why they don't want to be out there. They don't want to hit it because then across the street it goes over the fence. It's in Karras' property and they can't go get it. So then they play 3 balls, 3 of them get put out. They're done for the night. That's what they don't want. But that's a problem because we're taking and putting all the children at risk simply so that we can save $36 in softballs for these guys. It's ridiculous. So we're just asking, get these guys moved. You know, the women are willing to move out. Why won't the men move out? If somebody can look into that, talk to them, that'd be great. I've reached out a couple of times already, talked to Linda, I've talked to Jeff. But if we can get this done, it would be appreciated because we're putting kids at risk. That's all I got.
Any other comments tonight?
Okay. I gotta move this. You ready? My name is Angel. Before I get started, I'd like to request that you all lift your heads and listen. John Duncan, Mr. Finance Director. I must admit, you seem like an intelligent, fairly pleasant man from our few encounters. With that being said, I have uncovered some issues. On February 29th, there was a hearing at the downtown Ottawa courthouse. I find myself disappointed in you as you made false allegations in an attempt to have Mr. Hicks arrested on felony charges. Deputy Arthur investigated the incident, speaking with you and later speaking to Mr. Hicks at his home. According to his report, after the hearing, you claimed that in the courtroom, prior to the start of the hearing, that you were threatened by Mr. Hicks. You specifically stated that he hoped he didn't see you outside because he'd kick your ass, right? Two others made similar statements. Brent Bader told deputies that Jamie said he hopes he doesn't catch John outside. Deputy Pastrick, who was watching over the courtroom during the hearing, reported he witnessed no issues with Mr. Hicks' behavior. He also reported he heard you telling Deputy Arthur that you only wanted the incident documented. The next day, March 1st, Deputy Arthur reported that he received a message to call you and did so. He stated that you asked if the report was finished for Jamie threatening to whip the fuck out of you, also asking what was going to be done about it. You again repeated that your claim was now that Jamie had threatened to whip the fuck out of you, and that you now want to press felony charges. The report states that you were notified that this claim is entirely different than what you had first reported to Deputy Arthur. Remember, John, you originally stated that Jamie threatened to kick your ass outside. Believe me, I was shocked that an honest deputy handled this investigation. After all, this is the same sheriff's office that had me kidnapped 3 years ago. Even they weren't willing to go along with this mess. Shoot, these attacks on Mr. Hicks are so outrageous, our crooked state's attorney hasn't taken up any of the recent allegations made. I commend the deputies involved for doing the right thing, doing their job honestly. These are people's real lives you're messing with, John, Mr. Mayor, Brent. You don't use your positions, tax dollars, and sworn officers to attack the people who challenge your behaviors. It's illegal and it's wrong. Mr. Duncan, I read where you told the deputy that Jamie was upset, claiming you were talking behind his back. You said you did not do that. Of course you did. Remember, you were telling me on my audio recording. None of that was true. Filing false police reports, switching from your original story is dangerous for everyone involved. The exact words used in a situation could end up with someone being in prison or the LaSalle County Jail, home of the only brownie I've ever gagged on. Your credibility went right out the window that day, John. Mr. Grove, you are doing the citizens and the city employees a huge disservice by participating in and encouraging these behaviors. I explained to you what happened with me in the sheriff's office. Turning in corruption has cost me thousands of dollars, 6 weekends in jail, and being abused in handcuffs by Larry Majerus. My case is in the middle of the appeals process, but I'm no longer paying for it. Both the defense and the prosecution are now being covered by the taxpayers. Many of those taxpayers are residents of this city. You can't count on people being scared into a plea deal if you maliciously or wrongfully arrest them. I was offered a cushy plea deal, no freedom camp, aka jail, no record, but I knew I couldn't. Over these 3 years, the taxpayers have funded tens of thousands of dollars used in my misdemeanor charges. The actual number continues to grow. In fact, the Supreme Court moved my appeal to a new district in the interest of justice. Some of us do stand up, no matter how hard that may be. You better think about the type of world you want to leave for your children, grandchildren, and neighbors, because abusing the power you have, going far beyond the scope of your authority, will be more devastating for our future generations than it is for any of us here today. I appreciate those of you who have enough decency to look up and listen to our comments. Turning your ears off and putting your head down simply fails everyone. For the remainder of my time, I'm taking a moment of silence for anyone abused, targeted, falsely arrested, maliciously prosecuted, or murdered by the government. Thanks, John.
Any other public comment tonight? Hearing no other people wanting to address, we'll go to approval of minutes, please. It's council's pleasure.
Your Honor, I recommend you minutes from the last meeting held on March 4th, 2024. Every council member has a copy.
Second.
Motion, Alderman Thompson, second Alderman Reynolds, to approve the minutes of last city council meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Discussion, potential action on the following petitions.
Request for 2024 raffle license from RJ's Benefit.
I move that we approve the raffle license.
Second.
Motion from Alderman LaVeria, second from Alderman Thompson to approve the raffle license request. Take the roll, please.
Yes. Alderman Bassador.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
LaVerie.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Herndon. Crane.
Want to make note, RJ was always a very good participant, LPAC functions, anything we need to help out with, and we hope we wish her the best.
Okay. Request from David Washgoyak of 9 7th Street for a slow children playing sign on 7th Street between Charters and Peru Streets.
I know this isn't a fundamental change to the traffic over there, but I still think it'd be appropriate to forward it over to streets, alleys, and traffic for review. A few neighbors might attend that meeting as well to share what their experiences are.
All right, so
May not
we'll
be that
refer
sign,
to,
but maybe something like that.
we'll refer to the Streets and Alleys
Second.
meeting 2 weeks from tonight following the finance.
Second.
Motion from Alderman Bassador, second from Alderman LaVeria to send to street size and traffic. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Reports to city officers.
Building inspector's report for February 2024 showing total fees collected of $2,626 with total value of construction of $460,796.
Your Honor, I move we accept the building inspector's report for February 2024.
Second.
Motion from Alderman Bassador, second from Alderman Thompson. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried.
Treasurer's report for February 2024 showing total cash balances in LaSalle State Bank of $10,472,379.64 and in Hometown National Bank of $7,956,243.69.
I move that we accept and place on file the treasurer's report for February 2024.
Second.
Motion from Alderman LaVeria, second from Alderman Reynolds. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Communications.
Illinois Department of Revenue report showing sales tax collected for December 2023 of $94,862.27 and home real sales tax of $83,705.71 for a total of $178,567.98.
I move we accept and place on file the sales tax report for December 2023.
Second.
Motion from Alderman LaVeria, second from Alderman Jepson. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Bids. No bids tonight. Appointments, resignations. Nothing tonight. Standing committees.
Discussion and potential action regarding the recommendation of the Finance Committee regarding abandonment of well number 4 and related matters.
No. Your Honor, we discussed this at the Finance Committee. Patrick wasn't here, and I understand he's not here now. So we wanted a little more information on this. There was one, it's not even a bid, it's an estimate for $150,700. And so it would take, we do have to cap the well, so it would take a supermajority vote to approve it. Because we
At
only
this
have-
point in time, you want to pass on it, or do you want to go for the vote?
I think we need to get it done, right? Or
Yeah.
can we-
I second the motion.
Did you make a motion?
No, I haven't made the motion
Oh,
yet,
I'm
but
sorry.
go ahead and second it. Yeah, I'll move that we go ahead for the $150,700 estimate.
Motion from Alderman LaVeria, second from Alderman Thompson. Please take the roll.
Alderman Thompson.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
LaVerie.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Herndon. Crane. Bassador.
Aye.
Thank you.
Special committees. Old business.
Presentation from Chris Para of Test Inc. regarding lead, copper, water sampling results and related matters.
Get a motion to allow Mr. Chris Perry to address the council.
I was gonna say, I move that Mr. Para be allowed to address the council.
Motion from Alderman LaVeria, second from Alderman Reynolds. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Good evening, Mr. Para.
Hi, Chris from Test Incorporated. Yeah, so basically, we've had some lead and copper testing, and I figured probably the best way to do this is kind of go through the history of what's been done in the past and where we're at today, type of a thing. So looking back, and obviously I just became your water operator, so I kind of had to familiarize with the whole situation here rather quickly. But from what I understand, you know, we do lead and copper testing, and it's done typically, usually when you're on reduced monitoring, that testing's done every 3 years. And going back through the years, looking at some of the data that's up there, I can go through that. You know, back in 2016, there were 20 samples collected, and one of the 20 samples had an elevated level. When I say elevated level, that's above the MCL, which is above the EPA's set limit for a concentration. In 2019, we didn't have any of the samples come back high. Or, I'm sorry, 2019. And then in 2023, 2 of them were elevated. So we had some elevations, but nothing to really kick us into where we had to do extra sampling, extra testing, extra notifications, or anything like that. So coming forward to 2023, we had 5 of 40 samples test above the level. And then we had to do some additional testing the last quarter of 2023, and 6 of the 47 samples were elevated. And now fast forward to this quarter, where we're trying to get all the samples in on time. And again, it gets difficult because you're relying on homeowners to get the samples. You drop bottles off, get the samples from them, and it can be a difficult process to get all that done. But we're doing 40 samples, and as of today, of the 36 samples, only 1 of those samples was elevated, so which is good news. And I thought maybe I would go into a little how the testing's performed and why we might have some of the up and downs, like from year to year, where it's low and then it could potentially go high and then come back low again. So lead and copper testing is done at people's homes, and those homes are picked by typically the most severe. They're called tier types, and you have 5 different tier types, and you use the homes in town that would be most susceptible to having lead. Homes with lead service lines, homes that were older, built before 1984, because as you know, the copper with the lead solder before 1984 had lead in it, just the way things were done back then. So you're typically looking at older parts of town where all this testing is performed. And again, it's not everybody in town, it's certain sites, and there's 40 specific sites. And we're in the process, just for an FYI, we're in the process right now of renewing that site plan. The EPA just came out with new regulations, and I just got an email yesterday, or last week, Friday it was, saying that we need to redo our lead sample site plan, so we're in the process of doing that also. But basically, when you do this testing, again, you're relying on the homeowner. You're dropping 1-liter bottles off. There's specific instructions that go along with it. You have to make sure that they flush the line properly. The water has to sit for a minimum of 6 hours. We typically say overnight. And then it's a first draw. It's that first draw of water out of the tap into that bottle, and then it goes back to a lab for testing. Now, over my 30-some years of experience, I've experienced in other towns these ups and downs. And not to say that it's the homeowner's fault or anybody's fault. You can have, one time they might use the kitchen faucet, the next time they might use the bathroom faucet. And faucets, depending on the age of the faucet, can contain lead too. And since it's a first draw, anything that's been sitting there goes right into the bottle, and then it could potentially test positive. And over the history of looking at LaSalle's numbers from 2016 all the way to current, there's always, just like any town with any house, because you're picking your supposed worst case scenarios to test, because those are the ones that you're very interested in. You see ups and downs. The limit's 15, and you'll see some 2s and 3s, some 0s. Once in a while, like I was explaining earlier, you might have one that's high, then another 3-year period where you don't have any high, and then more recently where we have 4, 5, 6 samples that come out high, out of the total amount. So, it's not anything where it's, oh my goodness, it's indicative of the entire town. It's not, it's not that type of situation. So that's kind of how it's done, the history of it. And now going forward, we're trying to really instruct the homeowners on how to do proper sample collection to make sure it's done correctly. But there is always that fear that they might not be doing it correctly. You always have that possibility. And then, the lead service line inventory stuff that the city's been doing, that's mandated to remove all those lines, eventually, and that, so things will improve. But this really isn't indicative of a lead service line type thing, because again, if you can think of it, you're first drawing the sample, and it's only a 1-liter bottle, and you're typically not getting the lead service line water that's been sitting there. You're basically getting the water that's been sitting in the house primarily. And going forward too, what I usually like to tell everybody is that, lead or any type of metal that's coming from your house plumbing that's sitting there, if you want to try to avoid it, the best way to do it, I mean, I taught my kids this when they were little, you know, when you're in a strange place and you're going to take a drink of the water, let it run till it gets good and cold, and then take a drink. Because potentially that lead concentration is going to concentrate overnight when nobody's been using water. That's why we sample it that way, to get the worst case scenario type of a thing. But, you know, if that water's been sitting there, that's your greatest potential to have any type of lead contaminant in that bottle. So I always say, any type of water you're going to do for drinking, and again, we're talking about drinking or cooking, that type of thing. You know, obviously, if you're showering with it, you're not ingesting it typically. You let that water run good, get nice and cold, and then if it's been sitting in your pipes and it's had that ability to pick up anything, it's going to be flushed away, and then you're drinking water that doesn't have it. So that's what I usually tell my kids, my family, and everybody. And addressing the elevated samples, like for instance, this quarter, since I've been here, we've had one elevated sample. We're required within 10 days to notify those people of that elevated sample, and we do that. And they get basically a letter stating what the level was, what the maximum containment level is, what their level was, and what they can do to minimize exposure to lead. So that's what they get. And then when all the lead and copper sample testing is done this quarter, within 30 days after the last sample's collected and analyzed, everybody that's on the program gets their result, their own unique result of what it was. And if they were above, if they were below, and again, if they have any concerns, what to do to minimize exposure to the lead, that sort of thing. So that pretty much explains the whole program, how it works, where you're kind of at, what you can do to minimize it. This is happening everywhere. And again, you know, the public, the thing that makes this a little unique right now is since we had those couple elevated samples at the end of last year, it kicked us into this extra notification where we have to notify all of the public. Again, you know, it's not really concerning all of the public. It's really concerning your older homes and that sort of thing. But by law, we have to notify everybody. It has to go on water bills. There's rules and statutes.
And part of that is because we dropped the ball and didn't get the results to them properly. Is that why?
That's not the reason why. It's just a function of we had a couple high results, and now we're stuck doing this until the results drop
Come
back down again, and then we don't have to do that anymore.
Chris, how many
Ultimately,
communities do you guys do? You guys do quite a bit, right?
like 150 to
Okay.
200 communities. So
And
I've
you
got
see some of this sometimes in
All over.
some of them at one time or another?
all over the place. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard. I mean, if you think about it, if you have an older town, you're going to have older homes with older plumbing, that
Makes
sort of
sense.
thing. I mean, if people are concerned, there are ways to have their water tested. But again, if you didn't want to have the expense, it's about $30 to have the water tested. If you didn't want to have that expense, again, when I tell my kids and my family, just let the water run before you take a drink. Then you know you're not, you know.
Quick
Yeah.
question.
Uh-huh.
You stated that once our numbers come back down, then we get off that. When's the next time we sample?
So we're on quarterly testing, and which is a little unique. For years, it's always been, and the lead and copper rule is like a moving target right now. Ever since Flint, Michigan and all that, and University Park, and there's been a couple other instances across the country, they've really been trying to dial in the lead rules, and it's kind of like a moving target almost. The rules are changing, the lead service line inventory stuff, and when those lines have to be replaced, I mean, as you guys are aware, because these emails come down from the EPA, it's really hard to put their finger on it. But in the past, the way it would go down, typically it was never a quarterly thing. We're doing 40 samples every quarter. So, you know, we're doing a lot of testing. It used to be every 6 months. So in the past, and I just was talking with Patrick today about this. I need a call because the rules keep changing. But in the past, you would sample your 40 samples, let's say, you know, January through June. If everything was good, that's great. You would do it again July through December. If those are good, you get put on reduced monitoring. The number of samples come down, and you have to do it once a year next year. And then during that once a year period, if it's good again, it keeps scaling back. You know, with all testing, not just lead and copper, but with all testing, when it comes to EPA mandated testing, you typically get scaled back pretty good if nothing's showing up. And then they either scale you back to every 3 years, every 5 years, every 7 years. It just depends on the contaminant and the possibility of it being there and, you know, how far you've been scaled back. But as soon as you hit positive on something, they put you on quarterly monitoring, and then they monitor you more closely until it goes away or you figure out what's going on, and then scale it back again, that sort of thing. Yep.
Chris, I know last spring when people were opening up their pools, you know, we offered a service to have people get their water tested.
Yeah.
You know, we'd see if they need to, you know, empty their pool out and start fresh. And I know your company did that testing, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to reconfirm with you if there's anybody in LaSalle that wants to get their individual home tested.
Sure.
Please go ahead and bill us for that.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of a standing agreement if you are good with that still.
Sure.
Because I don't want anybody to feel like, you know, they don't have that option.
Sure.
So, thank you.
Yep, yeah.
Do we test the mains just to show they're negative, or?
No, but I did look at your, like, you typically don't do main testing. You can do service line testing. There's a technique to do that. But I'm glad you brought that up. I did look at what's leaving the water treatment plant and what's coming from the wells and looking back at that data, because it's all available online. Anybody can research that, look at it. And looking at the data of the wells we're using in our water treatment plant, the lead's not there. Again, lead comes from people's plumbing when the water sits in the plumbing for an extended period of time, that sort of thing. Now, we are adding phosphate and other things to help combat that. So I'm thinking, in fact, I think just recently, and again, I just became your water operator like a month ago.
Yeah, that's like putting you on the spot.
Yeah, trial by fire. No, we basically, if I'm not mistaken, we changed phosphate blends recently. It was permitted and installed, and we're feeding a phosphate that's a better blend that should actually help with this even, you know, so going forward.
If I'm understanding you correctly, the elevated reads were site-specific and not specific to the water.
Exactly right. They're site-specific. And again, these sites are picked on purpose to potentially be the most severe sites. You know, the new requirements, like I mentioned earlier, when we do the new sites, and we could use existing sites, but they changed the rule again. Like I said, now there's 5 tiers. There used to be 3 tiers. They want us to use, before we move to any other tier, they want us to use all Tier 1 sites. And I talked to Patrick today, and we have probably 1,000 of those, so that's going to be easy to do. But the Tier 1 sites are single-family homes served with a lead service line, and we have quite a few of those. So we have quite a few of those on our existing plan, and then going forward, we're going to make sure the new plan has all of those.
Is there any way for residents to test their service lines, or is there any way for them to know
There is.
if it is lead so that they can be proactive about
Yeah.
replacing it?
Usually, if they want to know if they have a lead service line, probably the easiest way to do that would be to look at what's coming in by your water meter in your basement, honestly. If it's a copper pipe, chances are it's copper. You could make that assumption, although from their service to the curb stop could be copper, I guess, and from the curb stop to the main, potentially could be something different. Your inventory, yeah, you're in the middle of inventorying all that, and that's a huge undertaking that you're doing right now. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. And there are, if for some reason they did have a lead service line and they find out they have a lead service line and they want it tested, yeah, we can do that. There's, you know, a cost associated with that, and there's specific instructions, like I said, that first draw samples for your typical lead and copper testing. But if you want to potentially test your lead service line, like the water coming from that line, there's a way to estimate how to fill bottles up. You would do your first draw, you would wait so many seconds, and then you would draw another liter, and you would then analyze both. The one would be the first draw, and the one would be the second draw.
Instead of letting it run,
Yeah.
get that right away.
Yeah,
And then
sometimes you would first draw it, wait 30 seconds. There's a sheet on how to do that, and then fill another bottle up, and that would potentially be sampling the lead service line. Now, you know, it's kind of like an estimation. It's not perfect science because you don't know all the details of where it's coming from the house exactly to that faucet.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So,
Chris,
Is
you
your-
mentioned something about there was a building where you had different faucets.
oh
and
yeah.
one-
So like for instance, you know, I mentioned the faucets, and people might be thinking, well, how can a faucet do that? You know, over my years, I've done. You know, you can realize the school testing was a lot recently with all the lead and copper, daycares, schools, and all that sort of thing. I've gone down schools, I won't name their names, but I mean, it's just very interesting where you'll go down a hallway and you'll have classroom, 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 classroom. This one tests high, this one tests low, this one tests low, this one tests high, that, and you walk down there, and that's an old faucet, that faucet was replaced, that's an old faucet, that one. Every time when it was an older faucet, it popped high, and every one that was replaced, it was fine. And then those ones that were high, they switched out the faucets, and then everything's fine.
That wasn't in LaSalle, though.
No.
Just,
It wasn't in LaSalle. But yeah, I mean, over the 30 years, I've seen just about everything. I've seen certain situations where it tests high, and you're sitting there scratching your head at certain schools. It's like they've literally replaced everything except for ripping the plumbing out of the walls. And the only thing they can think of is there must have been some weird transition put in that you can't see that was behind the wall, where a site-specific, like a faucet-specific site at a school, kept testing high, kept testing high. They ended up actually just putting a pencil filtration unit on that faucet just to make sure, because they did everything they could. I've seen it where, it's just funny, you're bringing up memories, and if I'm dragging on, just tell me to stop talking. But an old building turned into a daycare hospital in Carthage, Illinois, took it over, and before they turned it into daycare, they wanted to have it sampled, the entire building, like a building like this, so they sampled every single faucet, and they had some high ones, and they had some ones that weren't so high, and they changed all the faucets, and everything still was coming back with a trace of lead, and they couldn't figure out what it was, and finally, I did an inspection on the building. They had a backflow preventer and a meter, and it looked like it was probably 35, 40 years old. I said, I'm not saying that's it, but maybe that backflow preventer and that water meter's picking up traces, and they changed it out, and
It was good.
it was good. I mean, it's just amazing. It can be something just like that. So, yep.
Mayor Grove had just recently asked you if you're open to testing water for residents.
Yeah.
If that's kind of unnecessary, if somebody has just a couple simple questions for you, are you willing to share your email address for anybody to?
I'll answer anybody. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, this stuff, all the knowledge I've acquired over the years, I'd be more than happy.
On the form that is getting mailed.
Yeah, actually, yeah, they could call.
Okay.
Yeah, they could call my number and leave a message.
There
and
was a
I'll call
young
them back.
woman that spoke during public comment, had some questions. I think you should be able to.
I'll tell her everything I know about water.
handle it.
I've been doing it for 30, 35 years. I mean, I'm an open book, so. You know, there's a learning curve to know a little bit about your site-specific issues. I noticed, yeah, one of the constituents she names, I'm familiar with that and what the issues are and how to handle that type of situation. So, yeah, absolutely.
We are, I think you're aware because we asked if you were, good, we're doing our daily results posted on our website.
Everything
every day.
looks great.
So-
I mean, since that new filter's gone online, the water quality is just, it's perfect leaving the plant right now. Any type of.
It was definitely pretty rough.
Yeah. But no, everything's good. I think that's everything on my list. If there anything else,
Gentlemen, any
more
questions?
specific questions or anything?
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Think
You're
of me
welcome.
in the
Yeah.
future, if, I know
When it-
we're in the honeymoon stage here, so if you're, willing to come back in, if we have more questions, we
How
appreciate that,
often
since
do
we're
you need to have me in
getting to learn
here?
each other.
I'd be
You've
more than
always
happy.
helped us, but now you're right, you're our main guy.
No,
so.
no, I'll be more than happy anytime
Thank
you
you.
need me. Yep.
Thank you.
thanks, Chris.
Mr. Perrin, just so you know, you don't have to stick around if you don't want to. We always let people, if they're done, to, enjoy your night.
All right.
Any other old business?
Yeah, I've got a question here after the Little League representatives came in. I'm not sure I understand the conflict with the baseball diamonds. Is there gonna be a problem this season with Little League and this men's league playing in that softball field? And why aren't they using M&H Park?
Well, I think I gave you guys a explanation on that.
Okay.
And you're asking me about it now? That's fine. So I played baseball there in 1982 and 81, and the men's played there. So,
At Hegler?
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't understand what's the concern.
Well, safety is a concern.
Okay.
I have a question. I used to go watch the softball games with my father, because he lived for that, go watch. And I don't remember a ball going into the Little League diamond. That's what the complaint is, right? That softball is making it from home plate of the softball diamond.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever witnessed that happen.
I've never witnessed that happen.
How many years did your boys play there?
I got one kid that plays, and he's played it for the last 4 or 5 years, and I've never
I
seen
mean,
it.
that's the complaint, right? that softball is entering.
Yeah, we have a net up there now in recent years.
So there's a net in right field? Okay. I'm not totally, I don't go over there and check out the softball field ever.
I mean, it's, as a council, if you guys want to say that men's softball can't be there, I know last year, Alderman Bassler, we had the girls come and say, hey, we want to play at Hegler because people like that field better. And just so for public record, the city's choice wasn't to put that road back in there. That's not our road at right field at M&H. That's M&H's property.
Okay.
So we can't move that fence even wanted to.
Well, is there any chance we can get them to take that road? Are they using that road?
Sink Street, right?
Yeah.
Can they use it for something?
Again, they wanted it back in place, so it's their choice.
I wasn't sure if he wanted the fence moved or he wanted a higher fence there. Right field.
But no, I mean, right now, the schedules are being drawn up, so if you guys are trying to give some different indication to Linda, just for the record, we have Linda as the board, and I met with them for all those folks, and, I passed that information on to you guys, and it's fine. If we need to not have boards and just have people come right to you guys, I'm fine with that. 'Cause it seems like that's been the decision lately, and we could do that. We could put everything on here and not have boards, because, usually you have a procedure here to do things, and we kind of go off our boards, but I'm fine. If you guys want to put down a record right now, somebody want to make a motion and make straw vote it. I haven't heard.
What does Linda say about it?
I just want to know what's going on because it hadn't been a problem in the past, but they
Right,
seem very concerned
and this is the
about
first
it.
I heard about it being an issue, being
Yeah, that's kinda why I brought
that
it up.
teams not wanting to play there, that coaches, umpires not being want to be there. That after January of this year is the first I heard of that. So
Okay.
I have not, unless you guys heard anything last year about it. So again, it's your guys' call. If someone wants to make a motion, say, hey, the men's and women's have to play over there. That's your guys' decision.
Well, I also know the net's big enough. I mean, if you've ever been to Arizona to the leagues there, the hardball leagues, right in the middle of Scottsdale, they have a baseball diamond, and it's netted. Nothing gets out of that park.
I'll be willing to, this year, get a recap of every game if we want to. So we actually have some hard data of when it happened, how many times. So we have some information.
So, I mean.
And I'm gonna follow up with what teams said they want to play here. Because again, that's something new I never heard.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean,
as far as the umpires as
is there
well.
going to be a lot of conflict between the Little League games and the men's softball
No,
league?
so the men's softball already said they won't start till June 1st. And I know the Little League starts beginning of May, sometimes end of April. And they're basically by June, they might have 2 weeks left, and then it's all stars.
Okay.
So they're only gonna have a couple week overlap, and they're just playing 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think if it's a situation where the league really doesn't feel too comfortable with it, the volunteer field is the same dimensions as the Little League. If they don't want to play in the Minardi, the team could play in the Little League.
Okay.
I mean, it's just an option. But again, if you guys wanted to put it on the agenda, I mean, it seems like that's what we're doing now, whether it's the street sweeper or anything else, just put on this, because when we're doing individual phone calls and stuff, I guess it's changing. When we come to the time for meeting, it's like it's, Groundhog Day, nobody remembers things. So we'll just, if that's what you want to do, you want to make a motion, Joe? That you
Nope,
wanna-
I don't want to, I was just curious.
Okay.
Want more information,
I appreciated their concern, and I just wanted to, looking for a little clarity. Thank you.
I'll move that. Jeff, you said that you're gonna follow up with some of those comments. Maybe next meeting, we can just reevaluate after your follow-up and see maybe it is a reasonable.
Yeah, I want to see
discussion.
names of the referees and have them come and talk, and
Yes.
the teams, because it's easy for people to say, hey, that's fine, but let me know who's actually saying that so we can find out what the issues are. Any other old business?
I want to go over something the e-waste recycling event, April 6th, and that registration page should go live. It's live now, officially live tomorrow morning. It will be at lasallerecycling.as.me, which is the same URL we used 2 years ago. You can also email LaSalle Recycling, service at a-teamrecyclers.com, or call 815-630-4308. Between 8 and 4, I'm going to try to set up. I'm going to go over the page really quickly here. Obviously, when you come to the website, they give you kind of the breakdown of what's expected. You're going to want that first event on April 6th at Rotary Park. The second one is April 20th at LaSalle County. They're having an e-waste recycling event the same month after ours. Ours is obviously for LaSalle residents. But if you can't make that one, or you're not a LaSalle resident, you do have e-waste you want to get rid of, the county is there for you as well. So once you go in, you have between 8 and noon, 15-minute increments. The reason why we have 15-minute increments is it's easier to get people through at certain times than it is everybody rushing in at 8. I know it's been the issue at other e-waste recycling events in the past, but they've really fine-tuned this and they got it down to a science now. 2 years ago, like I said, it went very smoothly, and we're hoping it goes just as smoothly this time as well. So you fill a little bit of information. They let you know what is accepted and what is not. Loose alkaline batteries are not accepted. Liquid contained items are not accepted. Freon contained items, AC units, are not accepted. White goods like refrigerators and freezers are not accepted. Thermostats, light bulbs, those are not accepted. Everything else that you can think of as e-waste is probably going to be accepted. The only thing to keep in mind is that there is a limit of 2 TVs per vehicle. So again, that's on April 6th. I'm going to say at the next council meeting as well, put some stuff on Facebook and our website. As stated, it went very well 2 years ago, and the council had decided to take a 2-year break, come back to it, and see what the demand was. For context, we disposed of roughly 32,000 pounds of e-waste 2 years ago. So it's going to be very interesting to see what is out there in the community now, 2 years later, to determine if this is something we want to do regularly, or if we got, everybody jumped that one meeting.
We talked about it now, obviously, a lot of the big, bulky, big tube TVs are kind of working their way out of the system, so maybe we won't have as much poundage. But we still see some that our guys have to pick up along the road, so it's still an issue. So I'm glad we're having this
Let the
event.
department heads know if there's any of that stuff they picked up off the roads. Now's the time to get rid of it, collect it together, and we can put it out at this event. So.
I have a couple things under old business before I start, so I want to recognize Chief Kramarsik's here. Chief, how you doing? Good to see you, sir. Welcome. Yard waste is open now. We opened it up March 1st. Again, the hours are 8 to 4, Saturday and Sunday. 7:30 to 2:30 on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then Wednesdays 7:30 to 6. So Wednesday's your longer period during the day, and then basically Monday through Friday till 2:30 at our new Public Works building up on St. Vincent's. We have a dumpster there that's just for the yard bags. If you want to throw yard bags there. Starting April 1st, tree branch pickup will be back on the schedule. Again, you need to call in to get your name on the list for tree branch pickup. So please make sure we're doing that. We already talked about electronics. You might notice in your yards, I had somebody contact me today, back to the lead line situation. We have a grouping here now, and they're basically sucking down to where the main is to see if we're on lead lines or not. So you might see a hole in your yard for a small period of time, and then our guys are coming back. Jordan, I talked to John, they're coming back and filling that hole in. So, again, we don't know exactly what homes they're doing. They're gonna randomly do it. Couple block, house here on this block, house on that block, because there's no way we're gonna do 4,000 households. But we're gonna do that to try to find out where we're at. So if you get any calls on that, hey, I got a hole in my yard, about this deep for the suction of the vacuum truck, that's what's going on there. Eric Dias brought up about 801. Eric, Andy has a little update for you on that. Is Andy here? Yeah. Yeah. Andy walked through with Alderman Patak last week, 801 First Street, to kind of find out what's going on there.
Yeah, I got a hold of the project manager for that particular place, probably the third, fourth time we've been in there in the last 2 or 3 months. But I just wanted to follow up. All the roughing is done in the upstairs. That's the plumbing, electrical, HVAC. It's framed up. The downstairs, all the plumbing is done on the downstairs, other than the concrete floor. He did start off the project by showing, or the tour by showing us all the improvements that were done for the structural integrity of the building. So that looks to be finished as far as I see. New roof was put on. So there has been a lot of work. He did tell me, he just says, I do what they tell me. If they say switch to working on the outside now, which he did say was gonna happen, he's gonna switch to working on the outside. So I have talked to contractors who are lined up to do other things there. So I think it's moving along. As far as what the contract between the city and them calls for, I don't know those exact dates. That's something that you guys would probably know, but I did ask the contractor if drywalling and the finishing touches on the upstairs could be done by April 30th, and he felt there was no problem. Don't know what other type of delays might be in there, but
Right.
they're much further along than the last.
So just a reminder, our agreement is April 30th, and it is for the upstairs to basically be ready to be rented out for livable space. The downstairs, obviously, we're not expecting them to build it out because we don't know, it depends on who's using it, right? Who wants it, as far as build out, so. But I just want to make sure, Eric, that was brought up by you, and I knew they were doing some work. Sometimes we're not seeing it because it's on the inside, so. But we had the same question as well. My last two things, I want to say thanks everybody. It was a little chilly, but for the St. Pat's Parade, good participation. I think everybody was ready to get outside. I know Utica had a great turnout as well this past weekend. And that's a reminder, this weekend, Saturday at 11 o'clock at Hegler is our Easter egg hunt. It's going to be a little cold, but please be out there and join us for Easter egg hunt. And then I want to do a shout out to TCA, girls 7th grade volleyball and 8th grade volleyball, local school here, third place. So just a lot of good sports teams going on here lately in our area. So that's all I have, guys. Any new business?
Mayor, we're going to be opening up a grand opening of the disc golf course tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We're going to do a ribbon cutting and have the volunteers that put thousands of hours into it to get it to fruition, and it's well received. We've gotten a lot of wonderful comments on the course itself. So,
In our staff meeting today, I think Chief Janik, what was your conversation with those gentlemen you saw out there?
Yeah, they were asked where they're from. They said they were from Chicago. They drove all the way here specifically to challenge the course, and they did say it was challenging.
Mission accomplished.
Kind of neat to talk to people that are out there.
right, and one of the main volunteer out there has spent many hours playing and being there when people come, and it's amazing the distance people will come to play disc golf. I mean, the list of towns he gives me is, Chicago,
Yeah.
Bloomington, Peoria, Rockford. It's from all over.
Very cool. So 2 o'clock tomorrow, if whoever can make that.
Your Honor, not exactly new business, but the members of the Rotary clubs went out to seed the pollinator, the 10 acres of the pollinator garden a week ago Monday. And I think their spreader was the wrong sizing for the seed, so I don't know if they got it done yet or not, but they were
Okay.
intending on doing it, and so.
Well, I got a email from Dan Eaton, and it sounds like they got everything done.
All right, thanks, everybody. Discussion or potential action on the following additional ordinances and resolutions.
Resolution for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code and related matters.
This just to accept our MFT funds, is that basically what that is?
Yes, that's utilizing MFT. We have to pass a resolution for those funds. If you recall, 2 years ago, we had to do a resolution every year for the bonding. That is now gone, so it does give us more money every year to be able to put towards the roadways. And I think this year it's $390,000. We have a little bit more on that, but I wanted to reserve some for the funds that we will need on the Richard Hallett and 8th Street. So we'll be required to pay 20% of those costs.
I move that we approve the resolution for maintenance under Illinois Highway Code and related matters.
Second.
Motion by Mulvary, second by Alderman Crane. Take the roll, please.
Alderman Reynolds.
Aye.
Laverie.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Herndon. Crane.
Aye.
Bassador.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Ordinance further regulating parking within the city of LaSalle, handicap parking, 1536 4th Street, and related matters.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we approve the ordinance regulating the parking within the city of LaSalle, specifically 1536 4th Street and related matters. Each alderman has a copy.
Motion by Alderman Reynolds, second by Alderman Thompson. Take the roll, please.
Alderman Laverie.
Aye.
Jepson.
Aye.
Herndon. Crane.
Aye.
Bassador.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
No need for executive session tonight. Alderman Herndon, we'll hopefully see you here in 2 weeks in person. Now, we understand. It's a process, right? No need for executive session. Approval of bills.
Total submitted $943,373.80.
I move that we pay the bills, each and every alderman has a copy.
Second.
Motion by Laverie, second by Crane to pay the bills. Take the roll, please.
Alderman Jepson.
Aye.
Herndon. Crane.
Aye.
Bassador.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Laverie.
Aye.
Motion for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Reynolds, second by Crane, to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.